Hello everybody, Michael here for Tactica Imperialis. Welcome to today's video. Today's going to be episode 5 of Eldar Codex analysis, taking a look at the Elites section. If you've missed any previous parts in the series, make sure to check the link in the description below. That will take you to Codex analysis or the Eldar videos playlist. We've got a lot to cover. We've got, how many units do we have today? 1, 2, 3, 4, no, just the 5. We've got 5 units to cover today, and I've got a nice long list of things I'm going to forget in my notes tab. Actually, I must say, anyone who does Codex reviews, notes tabs are the best thing in the world because they allow you to remember stuff. So, long-winded intro out of the way, let's begin. First unit of the day is the Howling Banshees, your close combat, your generic close combat aspect warriors. 65 points for 5. Weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, initiative 5, 1 attack, leadership 9, and a 4+ save. This is the exact same stat line as the Dire Avengers we covered last time, so consider that the aspect warrior stat line. They are infantry, and they are armed with aspect armor, which is just a 4+ save, a shuriken pistol, which is a bolt pistol with pseudo-rending. It's not actually rending, but a 6 to wound is AP2. And a power sword and a banshee mask. This means that every model with a banshee mask causes fear, and if there's a single model in a unit with a banshee mask, that unit cannot be overwatched. So you cannot fire overwatch against Howling Banshees. This is very, very good, considering they get shot to bits on overwatch a lot. I don't know how that interacts with supporting fire. No, actually, I'm trying to think of a scenario in which you could theoretically overwatch them, and there isn't one. I was thinking about supporting fire and some weird interaction with that, because it says units. I think the exact wording on a Banshee mask, and I'm going to read it. I'm going to check and read it because this might actually be a bit of an issue. Oh, come on, where are they? I would have written this down in my notes, but it just crossed my mind right now. What happens when you've got multiple units overwatching you and you're only charging one of them? Models cannot fire overwatch against units. Okay, good. So yeah, this unit cannot even be overwatched by supporting fire, which is something that I was a little bit worried about for a second, which is good. No need to worry about that. Sorry. So yeah, you can't fire overwatch against Howling Banshees at all. This is good news, because as I say, 4+ armor save and 1 wound, and toughness 3, they get shot to bits if they could. Also got a power sword, nice to have. They have Ancient Doom, Battle Focus, and Fleet as their special rules, as well as a special rule called Acrobatic. A unit that consists entirely of models with this special rule adds 3 inches to its maximum move distance when it runs, and when it makes charge moves. Furthermore, you do not take the initiative penalty for charging enemies through difficult terrain. This is pretty good, because it basically gives you +3 inches to your charge, or +3 inches to your run. And if you take the Eldar detachment, which I think we're going to cover at the end of the series, you're always counted as running a 6, so you have a 9-inch run. I don't think there's much run and charge. I feel like, did Jane Czar have run and charge? If I remember back to episode 2, did Jane Czar have the ability to run and charge? I'm trying to think, because obviously there are ways and means of exploiting having basically 6 inches of free movement to work with. No, Jane Czar can't run and charge. But yeah, they're very, very fast. This is good for getting across the board in a hurry, and it is very useful for when you actually go to launch that charge. So all in all, Acrobatic is a good rule. They have a bonus rule for their Exarch, which is their Sergeant, but I'll cover that in a moment because it's an Exarch specific rule. So, you can include up to 5 additional Howling Banshees in your squad, 13 points per model. This gives you a maximum cost of 130 points for 10 girls. Primarily girls, anyway. And you may upgrade one of them to be an Exarch. Now, as with the Dire Avengers, the Exarch is just a mandatory investment. It's 10 points, and you get Weapon Skill 5, Ballistic Skill 5, Strength Toughness 3, 2 wounds, Initiative 6, 2 attacks, Leadership 9, and a 4+ save. So you gain a weapon skill, a ballistic skill, a wound, an initiative, and an attack for 10 points. And you also gain the rule War Shout. So enemy units locked in combat with a model that has this special rule have -2 leadership, which, considering your unit causes fear because of the Banshee mask, is a very, very good thing. So yes, take an Exarch every time. If nothing else, it's an extra ablative wound, and on top of that, if you do make it to combat, fear and a -2 leadership is pretty damn nice, and you'll have a weapon skill 5 guide just in case. The Howling Banshee Exarch may exchange her power sword for one of the following. A Triskele, as I'm going to call it, a Triskele, don't really know, which is a 2-part weapon. As a ranged weapon, it is 12-inch range, strength 3, AP 3, assault 3, which basically makes it a 3-shot hot-shot las pistol at ballistic skill 5. So you'll be hitting with probably all of those shots. The question becomes, how good is strength 3? Not very, but compared to a shuriken pistol, it's pretty good. You don't actually lose the shuriken pistol either, so if you want the strength 4 and the potential AP 2, you can still have that. And in melee, it's a power weapon. Strength user, AP 3 melee. Nice and simple. So it's 5 points to give your power sword a AP 3 shooting attack. This is very good. However, you could exchange your power sword for an Executioner for 10 points. This is a +2 strength AP 2 melee weapon that is also two-handed. So this means that you lose the extra attack for 2 weapons. You'll only have 3 attacks in the charge, but you'll be strength 5 AP 2, initiative 6. If you can't kill something with strength 5 AP 2, weapon skill 5, initiative 6, and 3 attacks, you're doing it wrong. So executioners are very good. However, I kind of prefer the Triskele, as I'm going to call it the Triskele, even though I know that's probably wrong, or the Triskel. I prefer that just because the AP3 shooting attack, particularly in this shooting-dominated meta, might actually be of use because you're not able to run and charge. As far as I'm aware, you're not able to run and charge pretty much at all. There might be a very niche way of pulling it off, but getting run and charge is going to be a thing, and you've already got a pretty good hit range with 2d6 plus 3 on your charge from acrobatic. So, yeah, I kind of prefer the Triskele. Or the I'm going to call it the Triskel. Triskel is better because it doesn't have an accent. Sorry, French is taking over. Sorry. Take the Triskel. I think that's my preference. Although, if you want this squad to do anything to Terminators, you should probably take the Executioner. You also don't lose the Shuriken Pistol when you take the Executioner. However, you may also exchange both your Shuriken Pistol and Power Sword, this is the alternate method, for 2 Mirror Swords. Mirror Swords are basically master-crafted Power Swords. So they're AP3 melee weapons, and there's a pair of them, so you get +1 attack, and they're master-crafted. So if you want to give up your shooting entirely, you can have basically turning your Power Sword master-crafted without losing the +1 attack. No. Honestly, you're having the +1 attack anyway for 2 weapons because you've got a pistol and a power sword. So you're paying 10 points to mastercraft your power sword. When for 10 points you could have an AP2 sword that's also strength 5, or you could have an AP3 shooting attack with 3 shots. I prefer the Triskel. I think Triskel, Executioner, Mirror Swords, in that order is what I would do. You obviously might want to change that depending on who you're going up against. For example, if you're going up against an army with a lot of up 2+ saves and vehicles, the Executioner is better. If you're going up against a lot of very small troops, you may want to consider the Triskel because you get some extra shooting attacks on the way in. And if you want to be a challenge winner, then consider the Mirror Swords because Mastercrafted is a thing. The unit can take a Wave Serpent as dedicated transport. As a reminder, the Wave Serpent costs about 80 points, I think. Oh, no, 110. Sorry, it's 110 points. It's an armor 12, 12, 10, 3-hull point tank, fast skimmer transport. We'll cover that in the next episode. But it's an option. It's got a transport capacity of, I think it's 10. Could be 12, but I think it's 10. It is 12. So yeah, you can go up with 12. And that is an option for you. But you're that fast and you're that dangerous when you hit melee because you've got a unit all packing power swords. You may want to consider not putting them in a Wave Serpent so they become a bit of a bullet magnet. Just a thought. So, that is the Howling Banshees. I think I've covered everything for them. Yes, I have. And now we have Striking Scorpions, 85 points for 5. And they have the same stats again, except this time they have a 3+ save. So weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, initiative 5, 1 attack, leadership 9, 3 plus save. They are infantry, and they have as war gear heavy aspect armor, 3 plus save, shuriken pistol, which we've covered before, scorpion chainsword, which is a +1 strength AP6 melee weapon, so they basically hit as hard as marines in close combat. Plasma grenades, which are thrown weapons, which are 8-inch range, strength 4, AP4. Worth considering if you're going against 4 plus saves, because the shuriken pistol has got AP6 and only 1 in 6 times does it get AP2. And yes, the range is a little bit shorter, but it's still worth considering. And Mandiblasters. So at the initiative 10 step, you deal a wound at AP nothing on a 4+ to a unit you're engaged with in close combat, your choice. If there's a gargantuan engaged with you, they're only affected on a 6, and if you're in a challenge, then you must hit your opponent in the challenge. This will only apply to your Exarch, but worth considering nonetheless. Mandiblasters is basically everybody has repeating 50-50 chance of Hammer of Wrath, which is really, really good, without charging. So it's kind of nice. And they've got 2 attacks, most of the time +1 for 2 weapons, strength 4, AP 6, weapon skill 4, initiative 5, so yeah, very, very decent. They have Ancient Doom, Battle Focus, Fleet. If you need to check Ancient Doom and Battle Focus, it's in the first episode of the series. I mentioned the playlist earlier on. Infiltrate, Move Through Cover, and Stealth. That's a decent set of stuff. Move Through Cover, handy. Infiltrate gives you the option to outflank. Stealth combines really nicely with those two to give you +1 to your cover save. Kind of nice. They also have a rule called Shadow Strike. If a unit that consists entirely of models with this special rule infiltrates, it has Shrouded. If the unit shoots, including Overwatch, or fights in close combat, it loses Shrouded. So you have got a permanent 5+ cover save if you choose to infiltrate until you basically perform an aggressive action. Fighting in close combat, you'll be safe once you get into combat, or shooting, then you lose it. But combines really nice. You can set up in, let's say, a forest or a ruin, have a 2+ cover save, and have move through cover to get through very, very nicely. Bonus Exarch rule, which we'll cover in a moment. 5 additional striking scorpions, 17 points a model, 4 size squad, 170. I can't math. It's 180 when you take the Exarch, which you will. So the Exarch, 5'5", 3'3", 2'6", 2'9", 3+ save, standard Exarch stat. And you also gain the special rule, Stalker. In the first round of a challenge, this model makes 1 bonus attack for each point that its initiative is higher than its opponent's initiative characteristic. So your initiative 6. If you're in close combat with a Space Marine Sergeant, you make 2 additional attacks. If you are in a challenge with an Orc Nob, you make 3 additional attacks. And so on. This is not a negative, so it's like if they're initiative 8, you lose attack. That doesn't happen. But if you have higher initiative, which you should because you're initiative 6, then you'll get extra attacks. And you can really pile on the pain after that. So the Striking Scorpion Exarch makes his Shuriken Pistol, keeping his Chainsword, but swapping his pistol for a Scorpion's Claw, which is 30 points. A Scorpion's Claw is a Shuriken Catapult, so 12-inch range, strength 4, AP5, assault 2, blade storm, i.e. that pseudo-rending thing, as well as being a power fist that doesn't drop your initiative. So strength times 2, AP2, melee. So that means that against that Space Marine Sergeant I mentioned before, you get +2 attacks. So you'll have 4 attacks. It's not unwieldy, it's not a specialist weapon. So 5 attacks, without charging, weapon skill 5, strength 6, AP2. Do I need to explain how nasty that is? And on top of that, you basically get a free extra shot in your gun, which goes from being a 12-inch range pistol to a 12-inch range assault 2, and it also becomes AP5, although I think the Shuriken pistol is also AP5. Let me just check. Shuriken pistol. I did write down the Shuriken pistol, didn't I? No, I didn't. But everything else is AP5, so I assume it is too. So yeah, you get an extra shot in your gun, and you gain an initiative step power fist that really combos nicely with your other special rules for 30 points. It's expensive as all hell, but it might be worth it. Alternatively, or in addition, you may exchange your Scorpion Chainsword for a Biting Blade. Now, Biting Blade is +2 strength, AP4 melee, 2-handed. It's a power maul, basically. So you can go Scorpion's Claw, Biting Blade. If you go Scorpion's Core Biting Blade, you don't get the extra attack for 2 weapons because the Biting Blade is two-handed. Whereas if you keep the Chainsword, you will. So I would suggest you don't take the Biting Blade unless you can't afford the Scorpion's Claw. Because the Chainsword gives you Strength 4, AP 6, 3 attacks, and the Biting Blade gives you Strength 5, AP 4, 2 attacks, for 5 additional points. Up to you. I think the Claw is the most powerful way to go, but it costs a hell of a lot. As for whether you need the Biting Blade, depends on who you think you're going to go up against, but I kind of like it. Final option, you can choose to change both the Shuriken Pistol and the Scorpion Chainsword, so swap both weapons, for 2 Chain Sabers. Now, Chain Sabers are a Shuriken Catapult, and they're also Strength +1, AP 5 melee with Rending. Proper Rending this time. So for 10 points, you get an extra shot in your gun, and you gain an extra point of AP and Rending in your weapons. You don't actually lose any attacks, because you get 2 of them. So you kind of technically have 2 Shuriken Catapults, but I think you're only allowed to fire 1 of them. So yeah, additional shot in your gun, and your attacks now are AP 5 Rending instead of AP 6, for 10 points. This, I think, is probably better than the Biting Blade, with the one exception of going up against things that have exactly a 4+ armor save. So, it's up to you. I think I would go Claw if I had the points, and Chain Sabers if I didn't. The Biting Blade is alright, but I'd only use it against, for example, Tau, other Eldar, things that have a lot of 4+ saves in them, and that's it. And as before, you need to take a Wave 7 that's dedicated transport. You'll want to infiltrate these guys generally, I think. So, yeah, Striking Scorpions, pretty good. Next up, Fire Dragons, 110 points for 5. Same stat line, again, I'll go over it quickly. 4, 4, 3, 3, 1, 5, 1, 9, 3+ saves to go that heavy aspect armor again. And they are infantry. They are armed with a fusion gun, which is basically a melter gun. So it is 12-inch range, strength at AP 1, assault 1, melter, and they have actually got melter bombs, which gives them a chance of doing something in melee. They have Ancient Doom, Battle Focus, and Fleet, which is nice, and Assured Destruction. Models with a special rule have a +1 modifier when rolling on the vehicle damage table. This means that because your weapons are all AP 1, if you can score a penetrating hit, you get +3. That means you need a 4+ to kill any vehicle in the game. A 3+ if it happens to be open-topped. That's really, really good. And it combos so nicely with their weapons being AP 1. X-Art rule, cover that in a moment. May include up to 5 additional Fire Dragons, 22 points a model, so that's 220 for a full-size squad. Will take 1 Fire Dragon to an X-Arc for 10 points. As I say, why aren't you doing it? If you're not taking X-Arcs, then what are you doing? It's an extra wound, it's buffed stats, it's an extra attack, an extra point of initiative, and options for meta guns. Just do it. So 10 points for that. He goes 5, 5, 3, 3, 2, 6, 2, 9, 3+ save. Standard stuff there. The X-Arc may exchange his fusion gun for a Dragon's Breath Flamer for free. A Dragon's Breath Flamer is a heavy flamer, so it's a Strength 5, AP 4, Assault 1 flamer template weapon. Or a Fire Pike for 15 points. This is basically a multi-melter without going slow. So it's 18-inch, or it's a Tau fusion gun, actually. Yeah, it's a Tau fusion gun. 18-inch range, Strength 8, AP 1, Assault 1 melter. 15 points to get 6-inch range extra on your gun. And 3 inches extra of range where your melter gun becomes obscene. Yes. Rule of thumb, you should be taking that. Because of Battle Focus, you can get into range quite easily of your other guns. You don't have to worry about, oh, I'm 15 inches away, I don't want to shoot just the Fire Pike, I'd rather run so everybody's in range. Doesn't matter. You can run, and if you roll a 6, you can run and then shoot. I think Battle Focus is run and shoot, or shoot and run, isn't it? I'm not being a moron, am I? Battle Focus. Oh, you're the other end of the flipping Codex. When things are at the other end of the Codex to where you expect them to be. Da-da-dum. Don't start singing, Michael. Sorry, going a little bit insane. Battle Focus. Yeah, you can run and then shoot. So yeah, because you can run and then shoot, you can easily get everybody into range. And if you do roll a 6, then your Fire Pike will be in double damage range. So yeah, just take the fire pike. And you can take a wave 7 dedicated transport. This is one of the times where I think you might want to. Just because it allows you to cross the board a little bit better. Because you've got such short range guns and you have melter bombs in melee which do nothing to anything but tanks. Whoop-de flipping do. Consider the Wave Serpent. As the Dragon's Breath Flamer, if you're going up against an army that's got like lots of infantry and a few tanks, it's a free swap. You can keep your melter guns for vaporizing stuff and keep that. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, the Exarch special rule, Crack Shot. Water with this rule can reroll one failed to hit or wound or armored penetration roll per turn. Which means during your ballistic skill 5, meaning hit on 2s, you'll probably always hit, and you can reroll it just in case. And you have rerolls to wound or to pen. You'll be winning on 2s most of the time, or you'll be rolling to penetrate on 2d6 or 1d6 depending. Yeah, that rule is ludicrously good. Forgot that. Anyway, Dragon's Breath Flamer, if you're going up against an army like Tyranids or Guard or something, worth considering, but I think the Fire Pack generally is the way you'll go. Next up, we have the tanks, or the first of the tanks, by which I mean things that don't die, not the vehicles. We have Wraithguard. Oh, and this is also the first case of D weapons, so get ready. So, 160 points for 5 infantry models. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 4, strength 5, toughness 6, 1 wound, initiative 4, 1 attack, leadership 10, and a 3+ save. This makes them mini monstrous creatures in and of themselves, except they've only got 1 wound. You can't hurt them with strength 2. That won't matter, so strength 3 can still hurt them, but it's still annoying nonetheless that your bolters are wounding on 6s, and even your pulse rifles are wounding on flipping 5s, and they've still got a 3-up save on top of that. They are 5 in a squad, so that is 32 points a model, and they're armed with the Wraith Cannon. The Wraith Cannon is a 12-inch range gun, strength D, assault 1, AP 2. Strength D on semi-basic infantry that are extremely tough. Let that sink in. That's ridiculous. A strength D gun in the hands of anything but a gargantuan or a super heavy, nah. Nah. Sorry, don't like. But we must push on. They have Ancient Doom, they are fearless, which is the leadership 10 anyway, so no big deal. And they're also bulky, so you can only get 5 in a Wave Serpent, 6 in a Wave Serpent, 5 if you take an accompanying character like a Spirit Seer, which is a really nasty combo, but nobody does it. So yeah, they can include the 5 additional Wraithguard, 32 points, and also a full-size squad is 320 points, and has to go on foot, because they're bulky. The entire unit may replace their Wraith Cannons with D-Scythes. Now, 10 points a model, and a D-Scythe is a Strength D, AP 2, Assault 1 Flamer. Sounds overpowered, but they roll with a -1 on the D weapon table, so you never get the obscene roll a 6 everything dies result, and you have a twice as likely chance of rolling a fail with your attack, but you've got flamers. When it comes to instant death, if that's a thing you need to worry about, then they're strength 4, which is something that's worth knowing. That will apply to all the weapons that are -1 on D, on the D weapon table. They'll be strength 4 for instant death, but AP2 flamers at strength D -1. Admittedly, it does make every Wraithguard cost over 40 points a model, but oh my god, is it horrible. And you can take a Wave Serpent for them. So you can carry 6 Wraithguard with D flamers in a flipping tank skimmer that's quite tough and... yeah. Thankfully, people don't generally do that. They're too obsessed with their scatter bikes, but... And if you do take a Spirit Seer, yeah, you only get 5 into the Wave Serpent, but if I remember correctly, the Spirit Seer is like rerolls to hit or something. They reroll 1s to hit against enemy units in 12 inches of the model with a special rule. Okay. Yeah, the Wraithguard are really dangerous. The only thing that is their problem is that they're slow, but you can mitigate that with a Wave Serpent. And when you're toughness 6 with a 3-up save, you are extremely hard to put down. And yeah, Wraithguard are really quite good. They're really quite good. I mean, if you gave them strength 10 AP2 guns, then arguably they'd be balanced, maybe. They were strength 10, and the Flamers were like... it's hard to think about Flamers, because strength 9 Flamers would break the game, but you could imagine them with like single shot strength 10 guns and say, okay, that's kind of fair, but because they're proper strength D, you'll be scoring D3, D6 wounds, D6 plus 6 wounds all the time. Yeah, Wraithguard are really good. Alternatively, you can take Wraithblades, who are 150 points, so they're 2 points per model less. Same stats, so weapon skill, ability skill 4, strength 5, T6, 1 wound, initiative 4, 1 attack, leadership 10, 3 up save. These are your combat wraiths. And you get 5 in a squad, bare minimum, and they come with 2 ghost swords, which are plus 1 strength, AP 3 melee weapons. So they have strength 6 power swords, and they have 2 of them, so they get plus 1 attack. So that means that your average guy is throwing out 2 attacks, weapon skill 4, strength 6, AP 3. That's nearly monster level. It's weak by monster standards, but if you're charging, it's 3 attacks, and now you're pretty much on par with many monsters in the game, except you lost a point of AP. Pretty nasty. They have Ancient Doom, they're bulky, they have Fearless, and they also have Rage, oh my goodness. So yeah, plus 2 attacks on the charge instead of 1. This means they have 4 attacks when they charge in. Each. Oh my god. And they cost 30 points each. Oh my goodness me. The only reason these guys aren't terrifyingly broken is they're slow. You can look to 5 additional Wraithblades, 30 points models, that's 300 points for a full-size squad, which is a lot. The entire unit mirror plays both Ghost Swords for a Ghost Axe and Force Shield. The Force Shield is a 4-up invulnerable save, and the Ghost Axe is an unwieldy plus 2 strength AP2 melee weapon. So you go up to strength 7 AP2, but you're now initiative 1. You're initiative 4 base, so you're not as fast as most Eldar. You don't have to worry so much about whatchamacallit, being outsped, because being T6, unless you're being hit with a barrage of poisoned or a barrage of high strength AP3 stuff, you're going to shrug the majority of this off anyway. So, for the 4+ invulnerable save, which will actually save you from all that AP3 nonsense, it's worth considering. It's a free swap. I would recommend you just experiment between the two, because even if you take the axe, you have rage, so you have 3 attacks anyway on the charge. So both will work, I think. Both will work. Personally, I think I would go for the axe, just so you have the invulnerable save to stop you being sniped off, and you have some AP2 at strength 7, so you pose more threat to vehicles. One thing to note for both types of wraiths, they don't have battle focus. This stops Wraithguard breaking the game with run and shoot, but it's still nasty. And that is the Eldar Elite section. So, let's recap. The Howling Banshees. Very solid combat troops, pretty speedy. You don't need a transport for them, though it's an option. Always take an Exarch, and I would say Triskel, Executioner, then Mirror Swords would be your options for picks. Should you take 10? Probably take 10, just because you'll get shot quite a lot on the way in, and you have no defense against it. Except Overwatch, but then you don't need to worry. Striking Scorpions, very nicely set up to sneak up and launch a nasty charge, thanks to having a 3+ save and Shrouded when they start the game if they infiltrate. And they're really good at winning challenges because of the Stalker rule for the Exarch. Combine that with the Scorpion's Claw if you want to splash out, or even a Biting Blade if you don't, or even the Chain Sabers, you've got plenty of options. And you could really do some serious damage. I would recommend going Claw if you've got the points, then Chain Sabers, and then Biting Blade if you're going up against things that have got 4+ saves all over the place. Wave Serpent, no. You're going to infiltrate with these guys most of the time, don't take a Wave Serpent. You can also outflank, but I prefer infiltrate. Fire Dragons, these are your anti-tank guys, use them as such. Give them a Wave Serpent, take a Fire Pike, and that's it. You don't need to take 10. Oh, Striking Scorpions, you possibly don't want to take 10, so you can get everybody into cover. Up to you, depends on how much terrain you're playing with. Fire Dragons, you only need 5 realistically to pose a threat, particularly if you've got a Wave Serpent covering them. So yeah, take an Exarch, take a Fire Pike, and take a Wave Serpent, and you're done. Easy peasy. They'll do a lot of damage if they can get anywhere close. Just don't let infantry come anywhere near them, because otherwise they'll just go down faster than anything, because they basically won't stand a chance. Because unless you're really teching for it, The Dragon's Breath Flame Risen is something you'll be using, although the Wave Serpent can help cover you with Shuriken Cannons and things like that. Wraithguard are obscene. Wraithguard, because of Wave Serpents, Wraithguard are a little bit obscene. The only thing keeping them in check is their lack of battle focus and bulky. Team them up with a Spirit Seer if you really want to be nasty, but should you swap for D-Sights? I don't think I actually answered that. D-Sights are very, very nasty. I think you probably should go for D-Sights if you're going to put them in a Serpent. If you're not, for some reason, and you need to save some points, then you should probably run the Wraith Cannon. But take the Wave Serpent generally all the time. Wraithblades really need that Wave Serpent. They need it. I was just Axe and Shield. If you really aren't wanting to take the Serpents, then go Axe Shield. You have a 4+ invuln as you cross the board, but you are ridiculously slow but you can still run. You don't have any bonuses to your run moves though. Just a thing to remember. Swords are nasty, but I think the Axe is better for AP2 over AP3, and Strength 7 is a better thing to threaten vehicles. And that's it. That's all there is to say. Next time, we're going to be looking at the fast attack. We'll finally get to talk about the Wave Serpent, because, well, that's long overdue. Do I need to have a rant about that? Oh, Serpent Shield, I might need to talk about that. And we'll also have a look at the Eldar vehicle equipment list. It'll be the first time we're looking at a tank. We're doing Swooping Hawks, we'll be doing Warp Spiders, Shining Spears, the Crimson Hunter, which is your flyer, or one of your flyers, and the Viper Jet Bike, and the Hemlock Wraith Fighter, which is another flyer option, and that's it. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things to look at. So next week will be quite a long episode once you stack up all of the vehicle stuff. I do hope you can join me for all of that. But now though, thank you very much for watching the video. My name is Michael for Tactica Imperialis. I'll see you all again. Bye for now.